Welcome back to Get the F Outta Here True Crime. If you're hungry for stories that chill you, shock you, and make you question trust, you've come to the right place. Today we're diving into a case from Kansas, the July 2013 killing of 51-year-old Gary Edens by then 20-year-old Brittny Marie Adams of Topeka. A seemingly simple shooting with far deeper questions. So strap in, hit that subscribe button, like this video, drop a comment after. We'll get to why this case rattled a community and why the truth still echoes. Here is when a knock at the door becomes the last thing you hear. Let's first talk about Gary Edens, a 51-year-old man living in Lawrence, Kansas, a modest home in the 600 block of North Michigan Street. From the public record, we know little about his personal life, but we do know he was a father. One of his sons, Jeremy Edens, would later address the court with heartbreaking clarity. "You took a good man's life." We can imagine Gary was a man of his neighborhood, working, raising a family, living at the heart of a community. He answered his front door on the evening of July 17, 2013, and that simple act would become fatal. Friends and neighbors described the shock when Lawrence recorded its first homicide since 2008. The town had been quiet, and then everything shifted. Gary's life, ordinary, anchored, became the scene of extraordinary violence, and his family's grief would ripple out long after the gunshot. Now let's turn to Brittny Marie Adams, a young woman, only 19 or 20 at the time of the crime. She lived in Topeka, Kansas. The court records show that by December 2013, charges had escalated. Originally second-degree murder, later upgraded to premeditated first-degree murder. According to testimony, Adams had 2 handguns in her waistband, according to the detective's account, and told cellmates she had blown his brains out. She also pleaded no contest to 2 counts of felony criminal threats against a corrections officer, an indicator the authorities saw a pattern of escalating behavior. Why? Part of the motive surfaced in testimony. Adams, along with a man identified as Jonathan R. Rush, reportedly came to Gary Edens' home in search of 2 young women who had allegedly taken Adams' car. So here we have 2 paths converging. A father at home and a young woman allegedly driven by grievance, car theft, search for information, perhaps anger. The collision is one they would never walk away from. Now, the timeline. It's July 17, 2013. Evening. At roughly 6:20 p.m., the shooting is reported at 647 North Michigan Street, Lawrence. Jeremy Edens, the victim's son, had met Adams earlier at the home the prior Sunday. On the evening of the shooting, he watched his father answer the door. He saw Adams and Rush at the doorway. He later testified about a struggle. According to the detective's account, Adams carried 2 handguns, one tucked into her waistband under a summer dress. The plan? She told investigators the gun fired as she made a swiping motion. Cellmate testimony deepens the dark. Jessica Eastman testified Adams boasted, "She said she blew his brains out." She told Eastman she instructed Rush to kill Jeremy Edens as well. When the gun fired, according to Jeremy's testimony, he knew immediately. His father was down. He saw him crumple outside the door. He darted for cover behind a recreational vehicle parked outside the home. Adams and Rush fled in a purple Pontiac. The detective said that Adams disposed of the gun, destroyed her cell phone, and later was arrested in Topeka with Rush. The motive is murky: car theft, revenge, search for stolen property, intimidation. But the outcome was clear: a life lost, a family shattered, a town shaken. The case moved quickly. By January 17, 2014, Adams pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and no contest to the 2 felony threat counts. As part of her plea agreement, she agreed to let all 3 counts run consecutively, meaning one sentence after the other. On February 28, 2014, the sentencing occurred in Douglas County District Court. Adams was sentenced to 155 months, nearly 13 years, for the murder charge. Additionally, 6-month sentences each for the threats, and she must register as a violent offender for 10 years following her release. During sentencing, Jeremy Edens appeared from custody in Missouri and addressed Adams directly, "You took a good man's life." This was the first homicide in Lawrence since 2008 and marked a turning point. How quickly an ordinary life can become a crime scene. But legal closure does not always bring emotional closure. The family, the community, the memories, they live on. What does this case leave us with? Many things. First, the fragility of trust. A father at his front door, someone's home is their refuge. When that place becomes the scene of violence, the sense of safety fractures. Second, the complex motives of revenge, desperation, grievance. Adams alleged the theft of her car and search for two young women were the spark. But was that enough to bring a gun to someone's home? That's the question investigators and the court wrestled with. Third, the ripple effect. Jeremy lost his father, neighbors lost security. Lawrence, a city unused to homicide, lost innocence. And lastly, the sentencing. Nearly 13 years in prison is significant, but for many the question remains, is it enough? For the family left behind, the absence lingers longer than any number of years can measure. If you found this story chilling, if you felt the weight of those final moments, then do one thing. Subscribe to Get the F Outta Here True Crime for more cases you've never heard, voices you'll remember, and stories that demand justice. Like this video so the algorithm knows you're here for raw truth. Comment below, what would you do if someone knocked at your door with suspicion in their eyes? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that one moment can change everything. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, stay safe, and join us next time for another deep dive. If this story got you saying, "Get the F out of here," hit that subscribe button for more.